So Franjo Ivanovic was a player I stumbled across on FBref, and after watching quite a bit of footage of him, both highlights and full matches, as well as analysing him further statistically, I'm putting my hat down and saying that I think he has the potential to be one of the best players in world football. And this summer United should be looking to sign him, considering he might only cost around £10 million, which is reportedly the fee that Sporting have been quoted, with them identifying him as their Gyokeres replacement. Ivanovic is Croatian and he's currently playing at Union SG, who are owned by Tony Bloom, and so therefore in the same multi-club network as Brighton, so you know he's going to be good. Now of course, when I compare him to Ronaldo, obviously I'm not saying he's going to be as good as Ronaldo was, but there are multiple reasons why I'm tipping Ivanovic to eventually be competing with the likes of Yamal and Doué as one of the best players in the world in the coming years, and stylistically he's very similar to the Ronaldo we saw at Real Madrid from 2015 to 2018. He's 21, 22 in October, and was only signed this summer by Union SG for around £3 million from Croatian side HNK, who had signed the Austrian-born Croatian on a free transfer the summer before, only 2 years ago back in 2023, from Augsburg's second team. And so on the surface this may lead you to question why he wasn't discovered back in his teenage years, but that assumes that every elite level player develops at the same rate, involving a rapid rise to the elite level in their teenage years, which actually isn't the case with most players who do end up reaching that level. Development to the elite level isn't always linear. But the first reason as to why I think Ivanovic does have elite level potential that I think could be realised in the next 2 to 3 years is because of how complete his skill set already is, as well as the quality technically that he possesses and the output statistically that he's producing. And when I show you his FBref report and explain my rather unorthodox method for identifying young forwards with elite level potential by essentially targeting players who could be classified as bad finishers, you'll see why I say Ivanovic alongside someone like Hugo Ekitike has the potential to be one of the best forwards in world football. But before I carry on with the analysis, if you want to check out any cheap, good quality football jerseys, go over to dragonjersey.com. They sent me over one of their retro shirts, this Manchester United 2006-2007 long sleeved home shirt with Ronaldo 7 on the back, which may be my favourite jersey of all time, with Ronaldo's performance that season making it even more iconic. They've also got other retro and current season jerseys available, and depending on where you live you can get 7 to 12 day delivery time. If you use code Alandis at checkout you will get a discount for a limited time, so I'll leave it linked in the description and in the comment section below. So simply from the eye test you can see that Ivanovic's technical ability is extremely impressive for someone who's classified as a centre forward, who really isn't even used in wider positions. I mean, he dribbles like Ronaldo, not just in terms of body aesthetic, but also with a similar efficient burst of acceleration as soon as he turns with the ball, that we saw Ronaldo refine during his time at Manchester United, which developed into an incredibly streamlined dribbling technique from about 2011 onwards. His shooting technique from range as well as across goal is also very similar to Ronaldo's technique, and his accuracy and power on his strikes can be devastating, to the point where you can clearly see that this guy is a level above most centre forwards his age when it comes to his natural shooting ability. But that's not it, as it's not just low driven or explosive strikes from distance that he has in his arsenal, but also a variety of different finishes off of either foot, first time inside of the box, and the way he's able to finish with such composure and accuracy using the inside of his boot or laces is undeniably impressive, being about as two-footed as you could probably want from striking situations. Ivanovic stylistically, just like Ronaldo at Real Madrid, is the perfect blend between a winger and a centre forward, lightning acceleration over shorter distances with or without the ball at his feet, and also able to sustain his pace over longer distances as well. And so this means that whether he's making a darting run in behind the back line, either from a central position between the two centre-backs, or from a slightly wider area between the full-back and centre-back, he has the burst of acceleration in order to get goal side of the defender that we often see from Garnacho, but he does also have the athleticism to maintain that speed when running over longer distances, alongside the ball control to do so with the ball at his feet. And when racing for on goal, as he showed to complete his hat-trick against Westerlo, he has the ability to produce an immaculately precise, subtle dink over an on-rushing keeper, even with his supposed weaker left foot. But just like a natural winger, he also has the ball carrying ability when there's space ahead of him, the ability to turn quickly and change direction, before bursting past wrong-footed pressing players, as well as the ball control and quick footwork to produce dribbles in the final third and around the box, which aids him in being able to efficiently manipulate the ball in order to work shooting angles. Combine this with his poacher-like instincts inside of the box, as well as his ability to finish from rather awkward positions off of both feet, and you have to conclude that he has one of the most complete styles of any goal-scoring centre forward, because he also has the ability to effectively link play when dropping off from the forward line and darting away from a pressing player on his back in order to receive an incisive pass to feet and then laying the ball off first time or with a touch, but no more touches are necessary, and so this makes him the perfect type of centre forward to have in possession systems like the ones we see with De Zerbi, Hoeneß, Fabregas, and even Ruben Amorim at Manchester United as well, where the deeper players in possession are looking to thread passes between the lines, intentionally looking to play through the centre of the pitch, with the target of those passes being forwards like Ivanovic, who can drop off into the space behind the opposition's midfield and link play with their shorter passes, or in the case of Ivanovic as well, being able to wriggle out of pressure using a sharp drop of a shoulder and then a sudden acceleration away in order to progress the ball forward. From the eye test alone, you can see that he's perfect to play in a narrow front three, with him having a skill set that's so complete that I think he could function just as effectively in one of those two interior forward positions, playing more of an inside forward role, as he would in his more natural centre forward position. And the metrics in his FBref report add further weight to my assessment, as when compared against every other forward in the Belgian Pro League this season, he ranked in the 94th percentile for his non-penalty XG and the 96th for his XG assisted, showing statistically that he isn't only a forward who is a high volume chance creator, but also someone who's able to generate his own high value chances as well, via his ball manipulation, offensive instincts, and his off the ball movement inside of the box. Now for his non-penalty goals, he is scoring at a fairly high rate of 0.51 per 90, ranking in the 79th percentile, which may lead you to question my assessment on him being a clinical finisher, considering he's underperforming his non-penalty XG by 0.13 per 90. However, it's this XG underperformance which is a reason as to why I think he's massively underrated and actually has elite level potential, but I'll break that down in more detail after I show you the rest of his metrics from other areas. So passing wise, as both the eye test and the stats show, Ivanovic's short and medium passing is superior to his long passing, both in terms of volume and completion, and I'd say that's probably the main area of his game that he does need to strengthen, as well as his ability to receive a crisp pass when dropping off under pressure, and linking play with 1 and 2 touch passes is still the type of attribute that most centre forwards his age don't have to that level. If he was to develop his long passing ability, this would allow his ball progression and chance creation to improve further, being able to link play with long switches of play, or create chances with long distance defence splitting through balls, as Harry Kane has developed and mastered over the years. Although even without the long passing, his expected assist rate and passes into the penalty area, alongside his XG assisted, show that he is still a high value ball progressor and chance creator. However, as I said previously, Ivanovic stylistically is more of a hybrid between a centre forward and a winger, rather than a centre forward and a playmaker like Harry Kane, and so his dribbling and ball carrying is even better than his progressive passing, as seen from the eye test, but also statistically, as this season in the Belgian Pro League, he ranked in the top 1% of forwards for his successful take-ons, progressive carries, and carries into the final third, whilst also sitting in the 91st percentile for his carries into the penalty area and completing a high percentage of take-ons as well, ranking in the 81st percentile with a rate just under 50%. Now, despite being 6'1", he doesn't really have the physicality or the aerial ability to be used as a conventional target man, receiving long passes into his head or chest, which is quite low volume and percentage of aerial duels one outlines. But inside of the box, when his offensive instincts and anticipation enable him to pick up a position to receive a headed opportunity, he does have the ability to put the ball in the back of the net from these type of aerial chances. And so this brings me on to my theory around players who underperform their XG, and so would be considered by many as quote-unquote bad finishers. See XG over or underperformance, the non-penalty goals minus non-penalty XG metric on FBref, essentially provides you with a figure that allows you to see how efficient a player is when it comes to converting their XG. And so it is fair to assume that players recording a positive metric are better finishers than those with negative metrics, as players like Ivanovic are scoring fewer goals per 90 than their XG models suggest they should. However, when judging a player, you have to factor in that this over or under performance does have a lot to do with variance from one season to the next. Players like Mbeumo and Cunha recorded an XG over performance of over 6 goals and 7 goals in the case of Mbeumo over the course of the whole Premier League season, whereas players like Salah and Isaac recorded just under 2, not because Mbeumo and Cunha are better finishers, but primarily because they've scored a number of goals from long range, which because of the probability have a very low XG rate, which somewhat inflates their stats, as this sort of overperformance isn't really sustainable season after season, unless you're someone like Lionel Messi, as even just scoring 2 or 3 less long-range strikes over the course of the next season can see a player's overall goal scoring rate drop significantly from one season to the next. However, just like XG overperformance can be down to variance and often is unsustainable, this can also be the case for XG underperformance in certain situations as well. Take Hugo Ekitike for example. He's had an anomaly year in terms of his XG conversion, recording the highest total underperformance of any player in Europe's top 5 leagues. However, from the eye test as well as going back through his previous year's FBref reports to see his XG and his XG conversion, and also whilst going through the rest of his FBref report this season as well, you can clearly see that Ekitike is producing top level, in some cases even elite level output in almost every other area of his game, and this is also what we see with Ivanovic. See, like Ekitike, Ivanovic is a forward who excels at progressing the ball forward via his passes, carries and dribbles, and is efficient at linking play, and also in the case of Ivanovic, but also Ekitike to a lesser degree, produces a high volume of defensive output as well. But crucially, like Ekitike, Ivanovic records a very high non-penalty XG in the Belgian Pro League, showing the numerical value of his offensive instincts, ball manipulation and movement inside of the box, and so he only needs to improve his finishing moderately, which at 21 is highly likely even naturally, and as a result his goal scoring numbers will shoot up significantly. But also a lot of it could just be variance over the course of a season, as with a slight underperformance a few big chances can create a disproportionate effect. And when you look at his non-penalty goals and non-penalty XG from the Europa League in the 840 minutes he played this season, you can see that he's about bang on with his non-penalty XG. Add on to that the fact that whilst his chance creating output represented by his XG assisted does drop significantly, some of his progressive passing metrics still look very competent, even against higher level opposition, with his dribbling and ball carrying output also still looking highly impressive. And so for just £10 million this summer, which has been the figure quoted to Sporting, who are looking at Ivanovic to replace Gyokeres, I think that's a deal that United or really any top club should be all over, as Ivanovic's highly complete skill set makes him highly valuable in multiple phases of play across all 3 of the positions in the narrow front 3, whilst his offensive instincts, movement and ball manipulation alongside his immaculate striking technique off of both feet and variety in his finishes could see Ivanovic develop into not just an elite level goal scorer but also an elite level complete forward in general, which if he does reach that level he would genuinely be up there with some of the best players in the world. So let me know what you think of Ivanovic in the comment section below, and if you want to check out any cheap good quality football jerseys, go over to dragonjersey.com. You can use code ATLANTIS at checkout for a 10% discount, so I'll leave it linked in the description and in the comment section below. And if you want to check out my articles on my Patreon or sign up for the in-game Instagram group chat, I'll leave that linked on the end screen now as well.